simplified version here. Theism, is the typical God is outside of the universe. Okay, so you got the big hand, the whole world is in His hand kind of thing going on there. All right, deism. Now, deism gets confused. And some of the people in our early heritage of our country were deists. This is very different. There is a very big difference between theism and deism. And I want you to understand that because it's going to come into play in some things we're going to talk about later on in philosophy of science. Deism is this idea that God made the world, kind of like the clockmaker winds up the clock and he sets it in motion. He doesn't mess with the clock anymore. And that's what deism basically is. It's the idea that, yeah, God made the universe, but He has nothing to do with it anymore. Okay, so now what does that mean if He's got nothing to do with it anymore? What does that imply?
We're on our own.
You're on your own. The laws of the universe can't be interrupted. Okay, that becomes important if you're trying to prove that our universe is in a closed system and that there are then therefore rules that are going to apply. And, if we can understand these rules, then we can manipulate them, right, to our advantage. That's the idea. And with the Enlightenment period, the scientific movement really got up and running, and this was kind of the idea behind a lot of it was a sort of deistic thinking in some ways. Because if you don't have God interfering all the time, then that means that it's running on its own, and we can figure this thing out, right? That's the idea. Okay, so that's a deistic thinking. God doesn't have anything to do with it. He doesn't interfere. There's no such thing as miracles. That doesn't happen. If you think that way, then you can argue for, well, there's laws in the universe and everything's got to go and abide by those laws. All right? Okay, atheism, world without God. Pretty simple. No big hand. No hand at all. Panentheism is a world in God. So God is greater than the universe, but the universe is within God. Understand? All right. Whereas pantheism is different. God is everything. Okay? God is, everything is in God. It's all part of God. So there's a difference here. The world is in God, but not necessarily like you think of with pantheism. It's not God. Okay? All right. All right. Finite Godism is a world with a finite God, little hand. The whole world is not in His hand. All right. It's finite God is a limited God, not an all-powerful God, something of that nature. Polytheism is a world with many gods. So you got multiple, gods. You might think in terms of
Egyptians.
Well, yeah, Egyptian might be some of their different various gods. You got your Greek thinkers, your Zeus and Apollos, and all these Aphrodites and all these various gods. Okay. All right. So everybody get that? You see on the little chart how it kind of breaks it down and sort of simplifies it. The first two lines are all that I'm concerned about. The first two lines. That's all I'm holding you accountable to know. So you highlight it, underline it, whatever. Put a mark by it. The first two lines on that chart are what you are going to be really accountable to know. The rest of that is just FYI. Okay? All right. So let's talk about the concept of evil, as it were. Is there such a thing? Anybody think there's such a thing as evil? No? Okay. There's no evil?
Well,
Hitler was a good guy.
Definition.
Is that it? What's that?
With the definition you have there, yeah. But
Something morally wrong, wicked, depraved, causing pain, harm, or trouble.
Yes, that does exist.
We're going to define the nature of evil more so, but it just does it exist? Without defining it a lot, does it exist at all? Is there such a thing as evil? No? So you think what Hitler did was okay?
to some people.
I think
Some
it just
people? You
exists.
think that was okay? Wow. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody that thought that Hitler might have done okay. Interesting. Okay.
Well, I'm sure he thought he did